What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for stopping by for another episode of this Evo build right here. The problem for this video is going to be that there are too many things on this car that are just unfinished. One of them being the intake manifold. So the intake manifold did get installed a few videos back. I can try to link it. The linking has been kind of wonky as of lately, but I'll try. So we got the intake manifold back in. Some of the vacuum lines we did replace with silicone vacuum lines. However, the issue is there's still a bunch that need to be rerouted. I do not have the right sized silicone vacuum lines right now, but I will be trying to order some in the future to replace all of those. But with that, let's jump over to the engine and I'll show you guys exactly what we have to get done today. So as you can see, after I took it apart, there were a couple of like hard lines that I stripped down, grinded down, sanded down, just did everything down and got looking new again. These do now have to get reattached. I got one right here, one right here. There's a bunch of brackets that need to be put on there. I would like to get this wiring harness finally clicked into all the supporting brackets and brought across here. Get the injectors connected in, get the throttle cable back on, map sensor. There's just a ton that needs to be done today. So let's jump into it now and get going on it. So it doesn't really matter if these do get tightened down like completely flat against the manifold, because like I said before, this is really just going to be for visual purposes for me, so it's easier later to replace these, but I am just going to be replacing them with silicone lines. Although I don't know why I'm even doing this one, because well, I'm going to be repainting the valve cover in the future anyway, but I guess it's just good knowledge to know where it goes. Now don't get me wrong, I do understand that this type of content is like super boring and dull, but unfortunately it's just something that has to be done in order to keep this guy progressing in a forward direction. Oh good, I saw it. Oh good, another one. Yep, I forgot, that's titanium though, so it's not gonna come up. Cool. This guy, and then I found something else down there that I didn't know was down there. A hose clamp. Okay, I think I might have found the only downside to titanium. It's not magnetic. So I don't know why I bought new bolts for this cam sensor right here. Apparently I only bought two. I don't know why, since there's three, but I'm just gonna take out these top two, I guess, and replace them so it looks a little bit nicer. Sure these are actually the right ones, and they are same length, same number on the top of the head. Throw that guy in and then I'll take the other guy out. Just gonna snug it down, don't want to go too hard on it. I guess for right now, I mean I might just order another one, so I don't know, like I said, I don't know why I would have bought two but not three, so probably just order one last one so it looks all brand new over here. All right. Okay, so hold on. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, this is the most boring stuff I've ever seen in my life. Why would I watch this guy's channel? And I'm gonna show you right now why you would watch the channel. Because look at how fresh this looks. These are the little things that end up making an engine so much nicer to work on and so much better to just look at if you're in a parking lot. So I did go through, like I said, for some reason I only bought 2 of these. I don't know why. So I took one of the ones that I had out and I cleaned it up, put it in here so at least it looks nice. Gonna go ahead and clean up in there. Got this bracket back on, got these guys all set up. These I've all stripped down. These used to be rusty. These 2 right here, they're actually water pump bolts. I don't know why, but I went like crazy when I first got the Evo, thinking water pump bolts were going out of style for some reason. I have like 4,000 water pump bolts brand new. These are luckily the same thread pitch. They are just like a little bit longer, but it doesn't like back out into anything. It just keeps going through the bracket, so it doesn't matter anyway. I'm not gonna like do any damage. But honestly, again, I know, super boring stuff, but it really is making me so happy that I don't have 1,000 brackets and random bolts floating around the garage. With that, we are gonna try to move on some wiring harness stuff. Okay, so I did jump on some wiring harness stuff. In a past video, I had replaced a bunch of injector connectors for the Evo. In this particular instance, there was one that I realized was broken that I hadn't replaced, so I did go ahead, replace that, which left one last injector that wasn't replaced, and I was like, oh, okay, I might as well just replace it now. In doing that, let me just show you. So in this one that here is like actually good, there is an updated piece on this injector, which is this guy right here. There is no slit or anything to be able to slide it on after you install the terminals in this connector. So this guy has to go on first. Like, this is the guy that's still broken. So I went ahead, re-crimped brand new terminals on here. But what has to happen is this orange piece that I just showed has to go over first. Then you install these in the connector, so then you can then click this guy into place. Originally, I did go ahead and I reinstalled a brand new connector on these guys right here. But in the process, I literally finished clicking the terminal in the second one, and then I realized I forgot to put this orange guy over first. So then when I went to try and go take that connector back off, I ended up actually breaking the connector and kind of damaging these terminals. So I did go ahead, recrimp brand new terminals, but now I have no connector to actually be able to like click into. So in that case, I'm gonna go ahead, just get one injector connector ordered. It's not much, it's like a couple of bucks. So it's fine, it's just kind of a pain and something that bothers you while you're working on cars. But with that, we're gonna jump back on at least reinstalling the wiring harness in the right spot so that later on I can just hopefully click the injector connector in and then it'll be all set. But on that note, I'll probably throw it on a time lapse, try to detangle this rat nest of a wiring harness and try to at least get it secured into place. Went ahead, did what I could with the wiring harness. I kind of feel like I'm making zero progress today. So it's just a bunch of like tiny little things that I have to do, which honestly involves a whole lot of me looking through my phone, looking back at old pictures, seeing where things connect, where harnesses click into place, where brackets go. And there's about 4 million little brackets on this car. So one of the things I did notice, the thermostat temperature connector for the back of the thermostat housing, apparently that connector is broken too, so I'm gonna try and get one of those to re-put on. It's just a lot of little things that are kind of slowing me down, you know. And it is tough because, like I said, I can't really get like the back harness really in place perfectly because I do have to eventually take the valve cover off to refinish it. So it's kind of just a game of trying to figure out exactly what has to go in what order. Like right down here, we have like all this crap I gotta figure out. But since there's not too much I can do really with the wiring harness until we get the new connectors in the mail, I guess I am gonna try and jump on the intake manifold, continuing with the rest of this stuff right here, like the throttle cable, map sensor. I do have a new map sensor and a plug and play harness for that sensor that I will be installing. Just try to get that all finished up so at least the back side of the motor is then complete. Now, so I did not get any new hardware for the intake manifold. I did run all of this through my media tumbler. So it is like clean, but it's all like really dusty and dirty. So I'm gonna go through and wire wheel the threads and the heads of all the bolts just to get them nice and clean. And then we can go ahead and install this brand new map sensor that I got. It's a 4-bar, and then this is the plug and play harness for the sensor. So let's go ahead and just watch me wire wheel stuff. Now it is important to note that if you are going to be going through and wire wheeling these threads just to kind of clean them up after media tumbling them, in a perfect world you would have I think it's called an ultrasonic vibrator cleaner thing. It uses like sound waves to be able to break up any like packed in dirt in threads. I don't have that, so I use the wire wheel, but if you are going to use a wire wheel, just make sure you're using like very little pressure. Like when I'm doing it, I'm just like gently going around the spinning wheel because you can damage the threads if you go too hard. But just a quick little aside and little tip. So the first and easiest thing is going to be the map sensor. Just gonna insert this guy right here. And it is just the 2 8mm bolts for the sensor. So I guess next up, we'll just try to take care of the throttle cable, which honestly is sort of annoying, to be honest. So I'm gonna go across. It's like, honestly, it's super annoying the way that it works. Comes like around here. Comes back, up around. Move this harness out of the way. And it comes over here and bolts in right there. But I guess we can kind of take care of the bolting position later. First thing we have to do is get this guy fed into the actual butterfly. Okay, now that we got this guy in, which I think I showed it in a prior video, but I'll just show it again real quick for anybody who needs to know. So you just, once you have slack on the cable itself, you can kind of just pull it right here, and it should be able to pop right out. So in order to get it back in, you just bring it in, push it in right here. And then once it's in, you just go down with it and wrap the rest of it around the bottom of the butterfly like that. And then once there's tension, it'll be nice and tight. Obviously, you have to make sure that the cable itself is around the butterfly completely, or I guess the throttle cable, I've always just called it the butterfly. Once that's there, you can then bring this guy back, and you just want to have it like tight, but you don't want to have it obviously like pulling on the actual throttle, because then you'd just be revving super high at idle. But I'm gonna throw these guys in, and I mean, this is always something we could kind of just go back and fix later, but I'm just gonna go ahead, throw these guys in, and then move on to the next thing. Now for the throttle cable, there are obviously 2 additional points where you would mount it in, one being right over here, and then one back up over here. But like I said, I'm gonna be taking the valve cover off, so I'm not gonna go through those steps, but at least like I can just move this stuff out of the way, and then I'll be able to take the valve cover off. Next up is gonna be the easiest one of all. It's just a grounding point for the intake manifold. So it's gonna go right here. So it's just 1 bolt. Actually, see how this is kind of corroded and kind of crappy and nasty looking? I'm just gonna go ahead with a little bit of a wire wheel, lightly brush that, and try to clean it up for a better ground. Okay, and with a little bit of magic, we now have a cleaned up ground. Just gonna throw this guy in. It is a screwdriver, like it's a screw, but I just used the 10mm, honestly. Obviously though, this is a ground, so make sure if you are using an electric ratchet, don't go ham on it. Next up on the chopping block is gonna be this guy. It's gonna go right over here. You can tell because there's like a little tab that lines up right in the front. Boy, does this look a lot better than it did back when I took it all apart and it was all rusty. All right, get that guy zipped down. And last but not least, just this one little bracket. It's gonna go right here. Again, it's got like a notch in it, so you know that it's gonna go right here where this cutout is. Let's get him in there. This guy feels a little dirty. Yeah, I think the threads inside are a little dirty. I'm gonna try to get those cleaned out a little bit. Just like that, magically, all the threads are clean. Okay, so we did get everything all done. It looks a million times better. I'm honestly super happy, at least with just getting that stuff back together. That way kind of this area back here is sort of finally getting situated. Once all that's plumbed, then we can then move on to turbo, manifold, new intercooler piping, and just like really try to get this thing back together. The only thing I did speak on was the map sensor. So this is the brand new 4-bar map sensor. I did say there was a plug and play harness. I was mistaken. That plug and play harness is actually going to be for what was the mass airflow sensor, and it's going to be going to the brand new IAT sensor that we're going to be installing into the intercooler piping. This guy, however, does just plug right into the map sensor that we bought, the stock connector. However, it is missing one of those retainer clips that you would use for like the injectors. Basically looks like a staple that goes through, because when you click this in, it doesn't click at all because it's missing the staple, which is actually what like holds it in place instead of having like a click type of connector. But yeah, looking pretty good now. But with that, that's probably all that I'm gonna have in this video. I know it's kind of boring stuff. It's not really the funnest to watch. For me, it's not really the funnest to do either. Like I said, it's just a whole lot of going through phone and trying to find where things go. But unfortunately, that's the stuff we got to do to be able to move on and try to get the bigger stuff done. But the car is shaping up, so hopefully not too much more boring stuff before we can start putting like the good stuff on. But with that, if you guys are enjoying the content, make sure you go ahead, subscribe, hit that like button, and until I guess the next one, I will see you guys later. Peace out and keep wrenching.